Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We have just a couple of days to go until the end of May, and given that there's a lot of things happening right now between John and Dave's take on the Star Wars universe and exactly where that's going, and how Tony Gilroy's getting heavily involved. By the way, as I mentioned in the last video, rest in peace to Ray Stevenson. It's very tragic about what happened just yesterday. For those of you that were curious on whether or not it was a hoax, it actually is not a hoax. He's no longer with us, and it's very unfortunate news. But I say, like I said on my Twitter, let's all celebrate his success and his big performance in the Ahsoka series by this August to really show, his and his family full support. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and without further ado, let's get right into the subject. Now, what's interesting about John and Dave is exactly what they are preparing to do with the upcoming Star Wars universe, their overall strategy to really, quote-unquote, save the day for the Star Wars fans, in which I already think that they did with their current layout, their current plan, to really turn things around and to really kind of provide a remedy to the divide between fans. Now, with that being all put out there, what's interesting about this is exactly what John and Dave are already pre-planning to do for the future projects. We're talking about the movies, the shows, whatever have you, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that are falling into place here by really giving the fans what they want to see, either on the big screen or at home on a streaming service like Disney+. Now, with that being put out there and said, with Favreau and Filoni beginning to develop multiple Star Wars projects for the community, one of the most recent developments is set to truly reunite the fans, where John and Dave seemingly save the day for the Star Wars franchise. Now, it's noted that John and Dave have created a strategy for their upcoming movie that is planned to turn into a full-on trilogy, where they want to break all the agendas that were created by Kathleen Kennedy. Now, their focus is said to create an equal system for both genders being strong, powerful, driven characters, and are excluding Kathleen Kennedy's outlook on the Star Wars franchise by favoring only one side. Now, both John and Dave are said to be motivated to bring down the whole system with their upcoming shows like Mandalorian Season 4 and the continuation of the Ahsoka series for starters, as well as the new movies. This is also set to include the return of Gina Carano and Cara Dune in multiple upcoming projects to bring the fans who support her back into the upcoming Star Wars movies and shows. Now, let me just stop here quick for one moment. Now, the fact that they want to create an equal system where they are going to favor both, male and female roles as being very powerful, driven characters instead of just one side, such as female-driven characters. This is exactly why I feel that John and Dave have a better outlook on Star Wars, because it's all about equality, focusing on both male and female-driven characters that are very powerful in the Star Wars realm, and that's exactly how it should have been treated right from the get-go by Lucasfilm during Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. Now look, when you look at George Lucas, we had very powerful, driven characters on both sides. You had Leia, you had Luke, you had Han, all these different characters. And even, of course, other characters in, for example, the prequels by George. Padme Amidala was a great example. So, I don't see why Kathleen Kennedy always says that we were always kind of lacking that side where female-driven characters were not really a thing, but her problem is that she's doing it by belittling the male-driven characters. So that's what John and Dave want to avoid. They are officially trying to strip down that system and bringing that all down to the ground and just rebuilding a new strategy for how Star Wars is going to be handled and following George Lucas's route. And you know what? That's all that needed to be done. Pure common sense, not really following an agenda, just strictly creating good stories, good character development, and a way for fans to have a lot of fun and to get excited for build-up of release dates. So moving on to the next thing here that's even all the more important, I believe, has much to do with the fact of what Kathleen Kennedy is doing right now, is that she's no longer involved in anything that's being created by John and Dave. She's only involved in Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte, and that is it, period, the end. Moving on. Now, Favreau and Filoni's drive for success is to also focus on Luke Skywalker's return and to focus on all of his legend stories while evolving the character and showing him age throughout the years without acknowledging any connections to the sequel trilogy for a very long time. Their goal is to also use the WBW, the World Between Worlds, to create some changes to the sequels and its canon, as well as providing retcons that will be applied to keep Luke's Jedi Order partially alive during the sequels. How they will make that happen is a mystery. This is all said to be phase 1 of Jon and Dave's step to fix and enhance Star Wars. They are also on a mission of hiring very talented and established co-writers to help them with other Star Wars shows that will ever evolve the Star Wars brand, one of which is described to be James Cameron and Matt Reeves of the Batman and Batman 2 to become a part of Star Wars. Now again, guys, I'm not really a pessimistic person when it comes to anything related to the franchise if it's being driven by Jon and Dave. As long as Kathleen Kennedy is not in the picture, I'm very positive about where things are going. It's exactly why I'm very enthusiastic and optimistic about Ahsoka, is because Kathleen Kennedy, believe it or not, had zero involvement in this. She even admitted this a couple of days ago, that Jon and Dave were on their own with that show. Even though it was mostly a Dave Filoni driven series, Jon had a couple of moments where he helped out Dave Filoni. What's interesting about that is that it's going to be the first project under Disney's wing that Kathleen Kennedy had no involvement in. And that, to me, I think is all the more reason to celebrate this release. Not just over the fact about that, but over the fact that it's going to honor Ray Stevenson. It really is. It's going to be a great way to honor the actor after his passing, and I think it's going to make it even all the more special. And I was looking forward to his character anyway, and I think it's going to make the character's limelight even all the more, you know, I guess you could say, have a bigger purpose, so to speak. So what's really interesting about this too is the fact that Jon and Dave are completely just rebranding Star Wars. They are rethinking the strategy. They are stripping down Kathleen Kennedy's take on things. And as we talked about this in the last video, go ahead and check it out if you want to. There's a lot of studios out there like Universal, Columbia, etc. that want nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy when and whenever her time comes that she gets out of Lucasfilm. They want nothing to do with her because they witnessed what she did with Indy 5, and they already have witnessed what she did with Star Wars. I guess they were giving her the benefit of the doubt for a while, and Indy 5 was like the deal breaker. And so she's basically restricted from those studios. It's the beginning of the end for her in the film industry, unless her production company, Starlight, kicks off and becomes a big success, which, by the way, I don't believe it will. I really doubt that. I don't think it will at all. In fact, I'm still shocked to this day that Disney is even allowing her to stay on board while she's creating a competitor against Star Wars and even Star Trek and Dune. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below what you guys have to say about all of this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.